On this week's show, how to find joint venture partners.
In the news, we look at the fastest growing cities for rent.
And we're going to be answering all your property related questions. Welcome to the Property Investors Podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an upload. You can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Enjoy this week's show and don't forget to share it with all your friends. Hi, I'm Russell Leeds.
I'm Alasdair, Cunningham.
And welcome to the Property Investors Podcast. It's going to be an interesting show.
Yes, it is. What we're covering today is a topic that I get asked. Do you know what? It must be every day I get somebody message me this question. How do you find investors and how do you find joint venture partners?
Do you want me to stop messaging you?
Please, yeah, because it's getting
Every
bit
day.
tedious.
It's
getting
just
a
ridiculous.
bit tedious. So yeah, we've got a good show lined up. We've also there's a news article come out today regarding the fact that the cities in the UK where rent is growing the fastest, and also where rent is decreasing the fastest as well, which is quite interesting because that obviously reflects on house prices and
Sure. I mean, because obviously if the rent rises,
yep,
then more investors want to buy there, and then that in turn pushes up house prices. So if you're looking to buy somewhere with good capital appreciation, stay tuned in. We're going to be talking about that in a bit as well.
So before we go any further, what have you been up to? I noticed you've had a haircut. You're looking a bit fresh.
I have had a haircut. I had a day off.
Okay.
I think it's very true sometimes. Because I've been so busy, so busy. But it's been like long days, early in the morning, till late at night, day after day. Last week, I didn't have a day at home.
Okay.
I went home sometimes, but like at 11 a.m. and then I was back up, so it's really crazy. So I took a day off, recharged the old batteries, went and had a haircut, had a massage at the Crazy Bear Hotel.
So that sounds like you've had an interesting couple of days. It's nice to see you resting because we do work incredibly hard. People don't maybe see exactly the amount of hours we put in, but we do put a lot of effort.
I think it's important that you make time for everything that's important to you.
100%. So yeah, all good. So what about today? We're going to be talking about finding joint venture partners and raising finance.
Yeah.
Finding joint venture partners to raise finance, finding investors for deal sourcing or for any other reason you'd need investors. It's a question I get asked loads.
Yeah,
absolutely loads. So let's start with finding a JV partner.
Okay.
So if you're looking to take on a property or take on a deal or rent to rent or anything really, and you haven't quite got the funds or you haven't got the time or the experience, and potentially you're looking for somebody to assist you with that, how would you go about finding them?
Okay, well, first of all, I would say that most JV partners, I've done both. I've been sort of both sides of the coin. So your one side of the coin is you're the expert. You're the one that knows what to do, how to find the deal, how to manage the deal, depending on what it is. Because most JV partners, it's maybe a buy, refurbish, refinance type deal, or So I've played that part where you're looking for someone to invest the money, but I've also played the part where I've found someone else that's the expert, and I've given them the money, and then as part of the deal as well. So I've done both. I think it's important that you've got one. The problem is most people that are looking for a JV partnership. Most people that come to us and say, I want a JV partner, they've kind of got nothing going for them.
Well, they bring nothing to the table, do they?
No.
I think when any sort of JV arrangement, there's got to be a balance of what both you're bringing to the table. It cannot be a case of like you're bringing absolutely nothing to the table, but you want somebody to put all the time and all the money and all the experience into the deal, because that's not fair.
Well, normally what it is they want someone else to put the money in. And they want to be the one that finds the deal, etc., etc. But why would someone who had money invest in you? You've got to think about what value that you're bringing,
exactly.
And not just the value, but also the proof of the value. Because, like, I personally wouldn't lend money to someone who'd not done a deal.
Yeah, exactly. I same as.
If it was like, this is my first deal, I was like, why would I lend you money unless it was someone that I really trusted?
Yeah, there's got to be a lot of trust in it. Obviously, there's got to be a lot of trust, but no JV agreement should be done on a handshake. It should always be done legally through solicitors, through the correct contracts, correct paperwork to protect both parties. So that is from the offset. Make sure you do it legally through the solicitors and get it done correctly.
So you might do it for like the first person that lent me money for a JV contract was my grandma. I've done other deals. I borrowed money, but the first one that was sort of like a family, whatever, was my grandma lent me money for a deal. I didn't have very much experience, to be fair. So she was taking a bit of a gamble on me, but she trusted me that I would pay the money back. If the deal fell on its arse, she trusted that I would pay the money back.
I'll tell you an example I had about 3 weeks ago. I had somebody message me on Facebook, and they were talking to me about deals. All these deals they've been finding, and literally I just got a string of messages, like 10 messages, and they're all deals that they've been finding and things like that. And look, we don't mind looking at deals and things like that, but we're not going you get messages every day. I get messages loads of people saying, can you have a look at this deal? Can you have a look at this deal? We just don't have time to do that, because we like to keep that service for people that are on the academy and people that are actually coming on to do further training with us. So we don't review deals for just people that randomly message us. This guy he messaged me lots of times, and I looked at one of the deals, and it was all right. It was nothing special. But then I got a random message off him about a day later, and it was, look, Alasdair, I really love what you've been doing. I watch you, I follow you, all that sort of stuff. I'm an aspiring investor. Can you basically invest in one of these deals, and I'll run it, and I'll manage it, and I'll give you like a 10% return on your money. And all the deals he was sending me were just Rightmove links. They were just properties he's found that would make potentially a good HMO or buy, refurbish, refinance, whatever. But really, when I sit down and think about it, what's he bringing to the table?
Yeah, because you could find a deal like that yourself.
I can find deals like that. I've got people that work for me, people that can go out and do that day in, day out. So what's this guy bringing to the table? How can he needs to differentiate himself from everyone else if he wants to raise a JV? Like, listen, I'll happily invest with somebody. Happily, I arranged a JV yesterday with somebody. I was in Wales yesterday, and I arranged a JV with a couple of girls in Wales yesterday who are in the process of buying a commercial residential place, and we've agreed in principle a JV arrangement on that. So I will happily invest, right? But what are you bringing to the table? Now, this guy that messaged me, all he was bringing to the table was Rightmove links. So he's got no experience, he's got no real knowledge, he won't invest in his own education. And he wanted me to lend him the deposit money. Yeah. And I'm like, but I didn't obviously respond to this message. I responded saying, look, thanks very much for getting in touch. If you want any more information, email the company, info@simonleeds.com. But he's not actually bringing much to the table. He was bringing his Rightmove link.
But he's not bringing much to the table to you.
Yeah.
But let's say he found someone. So like we're kind of, I suppose, the worst people to approach because we've got. But number one, we get approached all the time, so we're seeing deals all the time. And number two, we're actively buying property ourselves anyway. So, but I suppose maybe for example, if you had a family, you think about who can you add value to.
Exactly.
So, what value do you have? Like, what value does he have that you don't have? Nothing really.
Not really, because I can do everything he's doing. But if he went to somebody, for instance, that he knows has got a little bit of money, that's not got any knowledge whatsoever, and property to them is a complete foreign beast. Yeah. Like
someone that's maybe got 50 grand saved, would like to invest, would like to get a good return on their money. And
so, like for instance, sorry to cut you off. Sorry to cut you off. I was speaking to somebody yesterday, right? And they go to the business 4N network meetings.
Yeah, 4N. And I did that for years.
Yeah, I've been to one, but I found them incredibly boring. Right now, I went to one and I didn't get much from it at all. But
you won't.
My point being is he goes to this event, and he goes to the event every single month, and he speaks at the event for 10 minutes. He does a 10-minute pitch about what he's been doing on his property business.
Is it 4N? So he'll probably travel round.
I don't know what he does. All I know is that he goes to them quite regular, and he's now been given the opportunity to speak for like 5 or 10 minutes just about what he does in business, property, things like that. Now, the people that are there don't really know much about property. Very few of them do. So one of the JVs that he's arranged is through a 4N because they know nothing about property. He's brought them a deal. They're now funding it for him, and they're not even getting it's not even that high return. I think they're getting something like 8% return, which they were very happy with.
Yeah.
But he's rubbing his hands together because he's really happy with that. So it's a case of your value what you're bringing to the table has to be more than what you're asking, what the person, the opposite party is bringing.
Well, it's got to be a win-win.
It's got to be at least equal. Like for instance, if somebody was to come to us with an opportunity, it's got to be such a mind-blowing opportunity that we couldn't either possibly find it ourselves, or we just don't have access to it, and things like that. So I know you do, I know I do, I know Samuel certainly does. We get offers every single day for JVs, for opportunities, and we generally only do business with academy members anyway, because it's a perk of them being in the academy.
But some of them we do, some of them we don't. But let's have a think then. Okay, so let's put ourselves in the minds of somebody who is watching this, that's learned a bit about property, maybe not done any actual deals yet because they've got no money.
Yeah.
So looking for their first deal, they're looking for a JV partner to team up with to do it. What would you recommend? How would they do it? How would they go about finding a partner?
How would that look? First thing is, you need to be networking. You need to be going to as many networking events as possible. And when you're there, don't be just trying to sell to people, because you've got to add value to people before you sell to them. You've got to have helped them in some sort of way before you then try and sell to them. Especially like a decent investment. I mean, I'm not talking about going to selling somebody a couple £100 or whatever. I'm talking about a big investment where you're asking them to invest in you. They need to three things. They need to know you, they need to like you, and they need to trust you. Nobody will do business with you if they don't know, like, and trust you. It's that simple, right? So you need to go to networking events. You need to network like crazy. Constantly be adding value to people. Constantly be trying to assist them before you sort of stand up and go, hey, I've got this amazing deal, I'm looking for an investor. Because do you know what, we've all been to these pin meetings or whatever networking event where you get the same people every single month stand up and go, hey, my name's Joe, I'm a property,
hi Joe.
Hi Joe, I'm a property investor and I've got some amazing deals, I'm looking for investors. And it's just so boring, it's so yawn, come on, like nobody's interested. Change your pitch up, change your 20-second pitch up. How can you add value to people so that they actually want to come and talk to you? Then you build that relationship before you do anything. And then you can then start talking about deals that you're doing. So would you
maybe say something instead along the lines of, hi, I'm actually, I specialise in HMOs and service accommodation.
Yeah.
If anyone's got any questions or looking to invest in, I'm more than happy to sit down with anyone and give you free advice on how to.
Absolutely. Because you're offering them value, you're offering them help, and you're offering to help them. You're not just standing up saying, "Hey, my name's Joe. I found this amazing deal. I ain't got no money, but I found a deal. Can somebody JV with me?" It don't work like that. It just doesn't, because property is about people. Build relationships with people, and the money will come. And yes, many people say that the right deal will always. Money will follow. So if you find a deal and it's an amazing deal, the money will follow. And I think that's generally quite true. Because every time I've had an amazing deal, it's been funded, or I've funded it, or I've found ways to fund it, or whatever.
Do you think that, like, to begin with, they always say that the first deal is always the hardest.
It is, yeah.
And part of the reason for that is, like I mentioned earlier, you've got no experience. What would you? I personally think before you do JVs, see that it would be a good idea to have done a deal that you can show them and say,
yeah,
this is the. So for example,
yeah.
Because you're a deal sourcer, you could, you don't have to, you haven't invested in any of those deals, but you can very easily turn around to an investor and go, let me give an example of some of the deals that I found with some of my clients, this one, blah, blah. These are the deals, these are the ROIs, I found this one, it's amazing, I want someone to invest. And it's like you immediately get that credibility. I think it's important that you've walked the walk before you sell it. So how would someone, but it's one of those, I was interviewing someone, doing some interviews today for an accountant's assistant.
Okay.
And it's people that have come fresh out of uni.
Yeah.
They're a lot of them have got like a first on their degree. But
do you know what they haven't got?
Experience. So and the companies are saying you need experience, and it's like a catch-22 because they haven't got the experience. So no one will put their faith in them.
Okay. Let me ask you this question.
Go on.
And this is a question for everyone at home as well. Would you rather employ somebody fresh out of uni that's got all the paperwork, all the certificates to say they can do it all, but they've got no real life experience? Or would you rather employ somebody that's got 25 years real life accountancy experience, but no certificates? What would you rather employ?
Depends on the role.
For an accountant.
For an accountant?
Or an accountant's assistant. So today, you're the role for accountant's assistant?
I want someone who, I don't care about the experience, I want someone who's fresh.
Really?
This is for this role, yeah?
For accountant's assistant?
It's an assistant.
Okay,
Interesting. Accountant. I want someone who's going to come in and just learn, do it our way, not come in with 25 years.
That's actually very interesting. Yeah. I kind of agree with that, actually, because they're coming in with a complete blank bit of paper. Look, I'm freshly qualified. I'll work how
I'm
you want
young,
me to
I'm
work.
hungry.
People pick up habits. That is a very good analogy.
However, if I was looking for someone to run my accounts, if I was hiring an accountant to manage my accounts, it was someone who had 25 years experience or fresh, I'd definitely go for the 25 years experience.
Obviously with accountancy, they've got to be, accountancy is just an example. It could be a plumber, it could be a cameraman, whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The job role's irrelevant. I think experience always outweighs fresh qualifications. I think it does.
Okay, so in which case
I've seen so many people that are fresh out of uni, but they couldn't, they can't tie their bloody shoes. Do you know what I mean? They can't do the simplest of tasks. I've seen this so many times, and it's just like it's laughable. So I think experience all the time over qualification.
Okay.
Obviously, when it comes to like being a doctor, you've got to be qualified. But I'm not belittling qualifications. I'm just saying if I had a job role, and it was for say a videographer, I would rather they have experience than qualification, because experience will always outweigh qualification, in my opinion. It might be wrong, and if it is, then. So what? It's my opinion.
Right. So, how do you get experience?
Yeah.
How do you do that? I would say deal selling would be good.
Yeah.
And we talked. If you watched, we did an episode about how to become a deal source, and we suggested doing your first deal for free.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what you could do, for example, is you could do a couple of free deals where you find the deals, you go to an experienced investor, you say, hey, I'll source you a deal for free, because then they'll check it out for you as well and go, hey, you've screwed up here or whatever.
They'll help you because you're asking for help.
But you're doing it for free for them, right? So that they can see you're putting themselves out. Then you've done a couple of deals then. So at least when you're trying to raise JV, you can turn around and say, hey, I teamed up with this person. Yeah. This was the deal that I found them. This was the return on investment. I'm looking for this is the new one I've found. This one's even better.
Yeah.
I'm looking for and at least then you got a bit of credibility. So you actually, because one thing going on learning the information, seeing other people doing it, it's a very different thing actually doing it yourself.
Yeah, I agree with that. One thing I will say though is if you're completely fresh to it, don't make the stuff up. Don't
that
make
kind
out
of
you've
goes
got.
Without saying.
I know it does, but we just need to say it. Don't fake it till you make it. Right? I don't agree with that. So things like if you've not done any deals, but you're looking for a JV partner, tell them this will be your first deal. But explain to them how you've done the calculations, explain to them how you've done your due diligence, and really go to town and make sure you do it thoroughly. And just be completely transparent and completely honest with them. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people would still deal with you because it's a risk, and entrepreneurs are there to take risk.
Well, it shows that you can be, when you're very, very honest, it shows that you can be trusted.
Yeah, 100%. And it comes back to know, like, and trust. People deal with people who know, like, and trust.
So if we were going through a step formula then, would you say, number one, gain a little bit of experience, maybe through deal sourcing for free or something, but gain a bit of experience to show that you obviously learn how to do it first, of course, and then once you know how to do it, get a bit of experience doing it for free.
Yep, 100%.
Then you've got a bit of social proof.
Yep.
Network, but don't network by selling. Network by adding lots of value, building relationships. Think about what value you've got, and then what they need. So don't approach people like you, because you don't need someone to go and find you a deal, because you've got that. You're a deal sourcing company. You got that coming out your eyebrows, but
coming at my eyebrows.
Coming at your eyebrows. It's like a new one. It's a private joke. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But find someone who maybe is your family member or a friend who's got some money, who's keen to invest, who would like to get 8% return on investment. And then okay, here's a question then. And then I think this will probably be a good thing to finish on.
No, I've got something I want to say, so.
I think this will be it.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so let's say then.
If it's not, I'm going to say it afterwards.
Okay, cool. You've got a family member, an uncle, right, who has got about 100 grand saved. Mm-hmm. And he's got it in a savings account, and he's earning 1% interest. Yeah. And you want him to invest with you. How do you ask him?
Right. Okay. it is. Yeah. You knew where I was going. Right. Okay. This is how I would do it. So let's just hypothetically say exactly that.
Can I be the rich uncle?
Right. Okay. So
I'm going to be someone's rich uncle at some point.
I would come up to you and go, "Hey, Tavish."
Is that your uncle's name?
No. I tried to think of a really Scottish name there.
Is Tavish a Scottish name?
Tavish, yeah, McTavish.
Oh, like a surname?
Yeah.
So you go up to somebody, you call him Harvest. But
I'll tell you what. Hey, William, as in William Wallace.
Okay.
Anyway, right. Okay,
Hey, Alasdair. Hey, Alasdair.
Right.
How you
so
doing?
this is exactly how I would play it, right? I would say,
Nice
look,
to hear from you, Alasdair. I haven't heard from you in 5 years. What can I do for you?
I just thought I'd ring you. No, listen how you do it. That's how you do it, right? Just talk to them about the deal. Say, look, I've got this amazing property deal. It's tell them the figures. It's £50,000. It's going to need a £15,000 refurb. Once it's been refurbed, we are very confident the end value is going to be like £90,000. So we're going to be able to pull a lot of our money out of the deal. This is a buy, refurbish, refinance deal that we're doing. We've got teams in the area. We've got people in the area that can do the work. We're very confident we can turn that money around in 4 to 6 months. Do you know anybody that'd be interested in that?
So hypothetically,
Yeah.
if I did know anyone that was interested in it, how would their money be protected?
Well, they would have a first charge on the property, or they would have some sort of protection on it. Typically, it would be a first charge done through the solicitor. So, you basically, after the mortgage, you're the first person that gets paid.
Okay, so like if it all went badly, the person, my interested hypothetical friend, they'd be the one that got the house.
So it's
basically
like a secured loan. Do you know what I mean? First charge is if you borrowed money from a bank and you secured it against the property, it's very similar.
So what would their
first
return on investment be? Let's say at the moment they've got it in the bank only 1%.
Well, look, on this deal, these are just hypothetical numbers. On this deal, I'm looking to give them 10% on whatever they lend.
10%, okay. So what kind of happens here is we end up having this very hypothetical conversation where they're asking on behalf of themselves, really, but acting like they're interested in their friend.
Just remember this: I'm never going to ask you for the money. I'm never going to ask you for the money, but I'm going to say to you, and I'm going to speak to you in a way that, look, I've got this amazing deal. I'm looking for an investor. Do you, and any of your connections, any of your friends, do you know anybody that is looking to invest a little bit of money and make a little bit more return?
Yeah, cool. So you're just going to casually have a conversation with them about some of the deals you've done before, what the investors have got. I've actually got another one. I'm looking for an investor right now. Do you know anyone that might be interested in earning 8 to 10% on their interest rather than like the 1% you get in the bank?
And do you know what I would finish on? I would never say, oh, by the way, if you're interested, you can do it. No. I would always finish on, look, if you ever hear of anybody like that, just send them my way, let me know. And then I would change the subject, completely change the subject. So like, hey, what did you get up to last week? Just change the subject. Because in their head, they're selling it to themselves. Yeah. In their head, they're like, well, actually, I've got money in the bank. I wouldn't mind getting a bit of return. And do you know what? He's a nice guy. But even then, I would still not talk about it. I would leave it a couple of days.
Because you don't want them to feel like you're selling to them.
Exactly. And there's no pressure.
Or you're pressuring them. You want to just let them know, and if they're interested, they'll come to you.
Do you know, obviously you know Anthony John, he's a very successful Academy member, winner of the eviction.
Anthony Wilmot.
Yeah, I call him Anthony John, but Anthony Wilmot, yeah. Anyway, he... the reason being is John's his middle name, right? He
but like me calling Alasdair
Keir. Anyway, so Anthony joined the Academy 8 months ago, and he's now on 13 properties. Now he's not bought them, but they've all been purchased, but using JVs, using lease options, but none of it has been done using his money. It's all been done through joint venture financing. Every single deal.
That's not what Paul Waters told me.
What does he know? Anyway, it's all been done through joint venture financing. Yeah. Every single bit of it's JV finance. Now, that's true. And he had no knowledge. He had no investors. He was working at, I think it was B&Q. Was it B&Q or Sainsbury's? I don't know. He was working at Sainsbury's. He was working at a big chain. Came to the crash course, came to the academy, learned how to find investors, learned how to network, learned how to JV. Now he's done 13 deals with JV money. Yeah. And they're all incredibly happy with him. I know some of the JVs that have already been paid back now. They're desperate to do more with them, and it's just know, like, and trust. Build relationships with good people, and
he's a smart guy. He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. So yeah, cool. On that note, that's how we would recommend finding JV investors.
Right, it's now time for this.
In the news this week, we are going to be discussing the latest article that's come out regarding rents. So on BBC News at the minute, the UK cities where rent is rising the fastest.
All right, so tell us why that's important.
Well, of course it's important because it'd be a good place to invest if you're looking to invest. It's a sign for the future, what's going on in that area, what developments are there, why are these places going up. It also interestingly covers where's going down.
Have you looked?
I've had a little look.
So you know, so I can't make you guess.
I've read a little bit, but...
What have you read?
That Nottingham...
Yeah. Nottingham's good.
Manchester...
Manchester's not on here that I can see.
Okay, no, I can't remember that.
Okay,
I read
cool.
it on the taxi.
Manchester,
Earlier.
Leeds,
Okay.
Bristol,
Yeah, I thought so.
and the biggest fall.
Is it in the UK? Is it across the whole of the UK?
It is across the whole of the UK.
It's either going to be... I don't think it's going to be North England.
I'm not going to give anything
Hold on. Bear with me. Right.
We're bearing.
I think it's going to be somewhere in Scotland.
Of course.
Glasgow.
Nope.
Aberdeen.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, Aberdeen, I'll tell you, I think I know why as well.
Go on, why?
The oil industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oil industry is dying up there because the North Sea's running out of oil. In the next 20 years, it'll be... a lot of the oil rigs are shutting down because they've done what they had to do. The oil industry up there is... cutting jobs left, right and centre, so people are moving back to wherever they come from because the job isn't there anymore. So yeah, the rents will be going down because there's a lot of demand, there's a lot of supply up there at the minute.
So Aberdeen's the worst. So your best ones, Nottingham,
Nottingham's been a little
Leeds
sort
and
of...
Bristol.
Nottingham's been it's been under the radar, you know. And
it's gone up 5.4% in a year.
But it's been creeping up. But it's under the radar, and nobody really talks about Nottingham. They all talk about Manchester, Leeds, but they don't talk about Nottingham like they do.
And they're the only three that the rents went up more than the average wage was going up. So with inflation. So where do you reckon the worst three are? You got Aberdeen, which is the worst, and there's two in England, one in the Midlands.
Wolverhampton.
No.
Walsall.
No. Coventry.
Birmingham. Coventry, really? But rents have gone down?
Gone down.
Interesting, because HMO demand is going up in Coventry.
Rents have gone down.
Or maybe this is single. Let's obviously it's not going to be HMO.
And then Northern City.
Newcastle.
No, but close.
Tyne and Wear.
Is that a city?
Not a city. What
There's
city?
three, isn't there? You got Newcastle, Sunderland, and Middlesbrough.
Good old Middlesbrough.
Yeah, Middlesbrough's gone down. Nearly three quarters. Who's affected? Nearly 3/4 of 16 to 24-year-olds, and almost half of 25 to 34-year-olds rent from a private landlord.
Okay.
So it's.
At the end of the day, look, rents fluctuate always throughout the country, throughout the world. So everything fluctuates. So it depends what's going on in the area. So obviously Aberdeen's seen a problem because oil rigs and the oil industry is dying up there anyway. Why is Middlesbrough struggling? Apart from the obvious, but why is Middlesbrough
What's the
struggling?
obvious?
Well, it's Middlesbrough, isn't it? I've been up there a few times, and I can't say it was ever the most pleasant of experience. It just wasn't a pleasant experience.
Was it like Hull?
It reminded me very much of Hull.
Although I heard someone said
city centre in Hull's nice.
Someone said that Hull was like the city of culture or something.
Yeah, city centre in Hull's nice. It really is. It's nice, and I've got HMOs up there, and they're all rented out very well. Hull's good as an investment area. I wouldn't live there, but it's good. But I
visit there. Or be seen there.
No, Hull city centre is actually quite nice.
Yeah.
I can't say I've not really spent much time in Middlesbrough, but I've spent a lot of time in Hull. That's the thing, because I've got properties up there. When I was finding them and renovating them and all that sort of stuff. So not as good, but it's interesting because obviously what happens as rents go up?
Then rents go up, so then more people want to buy there.
Yep.
So then demand for properties goes up.
Demand,
so then house prices go up.
Yep. Exactly.
So it
pushes
means
everything up.
it's a good place to buy right now. Nottingham, Leeds.
Yeah.
For capital appreciation.
It'd be interesting to find out why they've gone up so much. Like, why is Nottingham suddenly... What's happening in Nottingham that's suddenly pushed the rents up?
I don't know.
It would be interesting to try and find out.
Maybe if someone watching this who lives in Nottingham can let us know what's going on with Nottingham.
There must be some developments going on or something. I don't know. But maybe there's a lot of investment getting made into the area, a lot of jobs going there. But it's just watch out for these traits.
We're looking at doing a deal in Derby.
Okay.
Building 25 apartments and 5 shops.
Right. Wow.
which is not far from Nottingham. So I wonder if that's going to go up as well.
Maybe.
Both East Midlands.
Derby's good because lots of factories in Derby. You got Rolls Royce. There's lots of places in Derby that are really, really good. Another place.
Is Jaguar Land?
Yeah, Jaguar Land Rover's up that neck of the woods. I
There's
don't
one in
know if it's in
Wolverhampton,
Derby,
isn't there?
but I don't know exactly where it is. But it's more Birmingham way, I think.
There's one in I know there's a plant in Wolverhampton, but maybe it's Rolls.
There's lots around Derby. But another interesting thing with regards to like cities that are going up is watch for these traits. Like obviously, if you can work out why they're going up,
then
right?
you can look at ones that are going to have that happen, and then
look at ones that
well.
are going to have that happen in the next 3 or 4 years and buy now while they're a little bit cheap. Because like developments, like big multi-million-pound developments, don't happen overnight. They're planned years and years in advance, so you can generally tell where it's going up. And if you take Leeds, for instance, that's had so much regeneration over the last 10 years. Have you been to Leeds city centre for the last any sort of time recently?
I haven't been for a while. To Leeds.
Do you know the city centre? It's the what's it called? I can't remember. There's a really, really nice city centre there, and there's a really nice shopping centre, and it's massively been developed over the last sort of 10 years, and that's why prices are going up. So yeah, it's amazing. It's really nice.
Awesome. Right, it's now time for your questions and answers. Let's get straight to it.
Okay, so we have some questions that have come in from you guys. Thank you very much for sending these questions in. Just so you know, you can send questions in on the Facebook group or YouTube comments, Instagram comments, anywhere like that. Just fire the questions in and we'll do our best to answer them. So the first question is from Kabir.
It says, has Alasdair lost weight? Have you lost weight?
I have, yes. What direct debit? What due diligence would you do with a joint venture
Because he's
partner?
put DD. So what DD for a JV?
Yeah, so what DD would you do with somebody when you're doing a JV arrangement? So we did discuss this earlier on the show.
It kind of depends.
So watch back.
It kind of depends, really. It depends on like who I am, what's. If you've got a charge on the property, I mean, it very much depends. I'd make sure if I was lending money, I'd want to make sure that I was protected.
I'll tell you one thing. If I was lending somebody money, I'd want to see their credit report. That's my little thing. I'd want to see their credit report because if they're not paying the bills.
But if you've got a charge on the property, why do you care?
I just do, because it tells me a lot about them. It tells me about their
but
habits
if you've got,
with money.
if you've got a
and
charge
all
on
that
the
sort of
property, in a way, it might even suit you if they didn't pay you back from a financial point of view.
Yeah, but look, if I'm going to lend my money to somebody, I work incredibly hard for my money. If I'm going to lend my money to somebody, I'm not going to lend any money to anybody unless they've showed me their credit report. It's that simple. That's one of my rules.
Like Experian?
Yeah, Experian. Just a copy of just a screenshot of their Experian. Let's have a look. I want to see if they're up to date with their bills. If they're not, then it doesn't sit well with me because it means that they can't manage the money. And if they can't manage the money, how are they going to manage the money that I give them as an investment? Yes, you might have a first charge on the property and you could get that back, but I would rather prevent any problems than offset. So really, do your due diligence on the investor. Let's just say you're lending money to somebody. Do your due diligence on them. Do your due diligence on their experience. Have they got experience? What training have they done? How many properties they've got? What properties have they got? Check their documents. Make sure they are who they say they are. Make sure they live where they say they live. Make sure that they're actually buying the property and the property's going to be in their name, or if it's in your name, whatever.
You want to make sure you get it drawn up by a solicitor, and that they look at it and go, look, if the deal goes wrong, I'm protected. I'm protected. Or if I'm not, I know the risk. That's what I'd want to know.
Okay, next question from Connor Arnold. Can you expand on bridging and auction finance, please?
Can you expand on
just explain what bridging and auction finance is. So it's the same thing. Bridging and auction is pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. So bridging is typically used if you want to do some work to the property. You don't want to get a mortgage because you're going to want to mortgage it once the work's done. You have a short-term loan, usually 60% of the value of the property. And then quite often a chunk of, if not all in some cases, of the refurb costs as well. They'll lend you the money. They very much lend on the deal rather than on the individual. Yeah. So they want to charge on the property. They want to make sure that they can get their money. It's kind of like what we talked about a minute ago, but they're going to be doing their due diligence on you.
Essentially,
it's quite expensive. You're normally looking at around about, when I've done it in the past, I've used it a few times, looking at about 12%, 14% interest.
Essentially, bridging and auction finance are short-term, high-interest loans to enable you to purchase a property quickly, like you're a cash buyer. Generally, the finance is approved regarding the property more you. So providing you're not bankrupt, providing you don't have any mortgage arrears, and providing you are... There's one more thing. I think you've got to be on an electoral roll or something like that. But there's one more thing that you
there's not much. Pretty much anyone can get it.
But yeah, pretty much anyone can get it as long as you're not bankrupt, been in mortgage arrears, and got any outstanding finance issues.
But then you'll want to get off it onto a mortgage as fast as you can because it's really expensive.
Okay, so Ashley Harris, top 3 tips for securing lease option agreements.
Start off as a rent-to-rent.
Yeah. Do you know, we talked about this the other day. If you're struggling to convert into speak to somebody and convince them that a lease option would work for them, offer them a rent-to-rent first with the option to flip it to a lease option later. So top 3 tips: get out, start looking at properties, find properties that would match the criteria for it, so negative equity, people that are struggling to sell, etc., etc. Win-win. It's got to be win-win. Make sure that whatever you're giving them is win-win. Don't try and stitch anybody up.
And exhaust the options. Give them every other option before.
Give them get yourself along to the crash course. We do talk about this. We talk about exhausting the options, making sure you really treat them like family. I advise them best with regards to renting it out, selling it, etc., etc., etc. And then if they still don't want to go for it and a lease option is good for them, sit down, blank sheet of paper and say, look, what works for you? What works for me? How can we best come up to an arrangement where we're both happy? You walk away happy, I walk away happy. End of. And then get it drafted legally by a solicitor.
I would definitely say definitely
use a template contract.
Oh, so no.
Do not use a template contract. It must be drafted by a solicitor if you want this thing to stand up. Yeah. Especially when it comes to purchase it in 5 or 7 years.
Cool. And get to the crash course because the training on it's actually really, really good. Hey guys, loving the show. Thank you, Victor. Is it possible to do an LOA, rent to rent, or rent to SA in Scotland?
LOA, no. Rent to rent, yes.
There you go. Brad Hart, what is the biggest hurdle you came across when starting out?
Interesting. Brad the Hitman Hart.
Well, yeah, what's the biggest hurdle?
Okay, biggest hurdle for me was mindset and caring about what other people thought. I now have no problems with mindset, and I now don't give a rip what people think. So that was my biggest hurdle.
Awesome, man.
What was yours?
Biggest hurdle is talking property. Obviously, I'm assuming not business.
Can be anything.
I would say property was convincing my wife that investing in property was a good idea.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
She didn't like it at all.
Shall we do how many? 1 more or 2 more?
Let's see how long this one is.
2 more.
Hi lads, enjoy the podcast and have been listening.
No. Come on, get it right.
I've done that.
Not enjoy. Really enjoy. Get it right. Come on.
Okay, cool. Hi lads. I thought I'd already read it, and that's why you stopped me. Enjoy the podcast and
You've done it again.
Okay, hi lads. I really enjoy the podcast. Okay, I really enjoy the podcast. I've been listening religiously for the last 6 months. Would you consider a rent-to-rent model where the property is rented as student accommodation from September to May and rented as service accommodation via Airbnb from June to August as a viable strategy? Cheers. Yes.
Absolutely. I stayed in so I'm assuming in the September to May it would be like sort of a HMO type rooms.
They do that a lot in London.
Yeah.
They do it a lot in London.
I stayed in the HMO in Wolverhampton, and that's what they do. During the term times, it's students, and in off terms, it's service accommodation. And it is a HMO. It's got HMO doors, it's got fire doors, it's got everything. And it's like £25 a night. Yeah, it was actually really good, but you cannot mix. So you can't have half HMO and half service accommodation. It has to be one or other.
Why is that?
I don't know.
How do you know that for sure? I
don't know if it's 100% legal, but I know that I've spoken to the councils about it, and they just don't agree with it. Whether that's illegal, I don't know, but either way, that's what the council said. All
right, final one then. Sharif Rashid, hi guys, absolutely love the show, tune in every week.
Thank you.
I love the banter and whatnot. I wanted to ask, do you have any tips on raising seed capital for investments like deposit money? I know lenders aren't keen on lending against a loan unless it's gifted, but everyone runs out of deposit money at some point, and where would we go to get this kind of funding? Have you noticed? I know I mention it every week, but it just seems to happen every week. We pick a topic, we talk about it, and then the questions that come in, because we don't plan this. No. We literally pick a topic beforehand, and we film the Facebook lives, we get the questions, and then we start filming the show. And then by the time we come back to it, half an hour later, they're all here.
So at the start of the show, we talked about finding JV investors. Go back and watch that, and yeah, that's a good tip. Now, with regards to recycling your cash, maybe start looking at the buy, refurbish, refinance strategy. You can refinance and get a lot of your money out. So I'm doing a deal at the minute. We agreed yesterday that in theory, obviously, we'll not know until it's all done, but in theory, I should pull all of my money out plus about £5,000. So
great question about the gift, because I know what you mean. The key for that, I suppose, really is dealing with a good mortgage broker who can then advise you. Because it very much depends on the mortgage company, what they're wanting. But I know in the past, people have said to me, "Well, you might have to say that it's a gift." I've never had to do that.
We have to be super careful because. Be careful how you raise your deposits, and if you've raised it in one way, tell that be transparent with the mortgage company. Otherwise, it's mortgage fraud, and it can cause you problems down the line.
Well, certainly be transparent with your broker, and then they can tell you how to word it, how to best play it.
Yeah.
But you want a good broker you've got a good relationship with. You can go to them and say, "Look, this is the situation. I've got this loan, 30 grand coming in. I want to get a mortgage. How do I best
completely
go about
transparently
this?"
Lay your cards on the table. Say, "This is where it's come from. This is how I've got it." Boom. And then they'll advise you correctly. Don't ever try and hide where you've got a deposit from, because it'll just come back and bite you in the ass, and it'll sting. So
there you go. Well, guys, thanks ever so much for tuning in. Really, it'll bite you in the ass and sting. What are you laughing at?
No. Just it was a funny way to end. So
well, there you go. What, getting bitten in the ass?
On that note. On that bombshell
of getting bitten in the ass and getting stung in the ass, that is the end of our show. Tune in. We're back here every single Saturday at 7 p.m. Listen to us if you're driving on the way to work. Do you think more people actually listen than watch?
I know they do. Yeah.
So if you're watching this now, you're in the minority.
Yes, you are.
Most people are just hearing our.
You get the privilege of getting to look at us two handsome fellas.
Maybe that's why.
Maybe it is.
That's a bit depressing, actually.
Especially a new haircut.
It's a bit depressing. Most people would they kind of want to hear what you got to say, but they can't stand the idea of looking at us.
We've got radio.
Faces for radio.
Faces for radio.
It's clearly not a voice for radio, but the way you fumbled that.
Yeah.
See you next week, guys.
See you guys. Bye bye.